So, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Am I audible to you? Yeah. So, in last class, we discussed up to which one? Liliaceae, and that was the end of which chapter? Morphology in flowering plant. Is it all right? So, today we are starting a new chapter. That is anatomy of flowering plant. Anatomy of the flowering plant. So you just have a look first, what is the anatomy? So anatomy is what basically study of internal structure of or an organism. So when you were studying about external structure, it was morphology. And whenever you are studying about internal structure, it is which one? Anatomy. Right? So in plant, anatomy we study about the histology of plant. Histology is what? Study about the tissue, study of tissue. So you look, animal anatomy and plant anatomy is different in one respect. If you look, if you cut a animal body, suppose that you are cutting a human body, cutting, so internal, inside the body, you will find organ. What you will find? Organ you are going to find. Liver, heart, kidney, spleen, lungs, etc. Heart. Is it? Such means organs you are studying inside. In anatomy of the which one? Animal. What are the internal organ is there? You are studying about that. So in case of animal anatomy and histology are different things. Are you getting the idea or not? Because when you are cutting the body of an animal, you are finding internal organs are there. So in case of animal, in anatomy, what you are studying about the organ you are studying, internal organ you are studying. And in histology, you are studying about the tissue, like epithelial tissue, connective tissue, nervous tissue, getting the things or not, etc. So in case of animal, anatomy and histology are two different things. But in case of plant, why we are telling here, in case of plant, you can say like anatomy is equal to histology. Why I am saying like this? If whenever you are cutting a plant in the interior, inside of the plant, you are not finding any organ. Organ you can find in the morphological structure. Sir, this is root, this is stem, this is leaf, this is flower, this is fruit. So you can say in the basis of which one? External appearance, morphological feature. But whenever you are cutting any part, either root, stem, leaf, flower, fruit, getting the idea or not, So in the internal, you are simply getting tissue. You are not getting any organ. So in the internal of the plant, the maximum grade of the organization is what? Tissue grade of organization. Is it clear? But inside the body, who is there? Organ systems is there in the case of animal. So in animal, the grade of organization is higher in compared to the grade of organization in plant. So maximum you got what basically? Tissue in the internal of a plant. And that is the reason I am telling in case of plant, anatomy is equal to histology. You got the idea? I hope you understand it. Is it clear? Right? So in plant anatomy, we are going to discuss about plant tissue. Is it clear? So now we are starting about tissue. Tissue. So what is the definition of the tissue? So tissue are what basically? Group of similar cells. It may be dissimilar, who usually perform a similar function. That is called what basically? Tissue. So tissue are basically what basically? Group of cells. Getting the things or not? So this cell may be similar or it may be dissimilar, but it is usually going to perform a which one? Similar nature of function, and that is called what basically? Tissue. Right? So tissue is the group of cells. Now if we talk about the tissue type, so there are two types of tissue. There are two types of tissue based on capacity of division in plant. What are the criteria? Based on capacity of division. Capacity of division. One is meristematic tissue. Meristematic tissue. And another one is permanent tissue. Permanent tissue. Right? Criteria what? Capacity of division. So if you talk about the meristematic tissue, have capacity of division. Capacity of division. So the tissue who have capacity of division are called which one? Meristematic tissue. If we talk about permanent tissue, you can say it is usually not divide. Usually not divide. In some exceptional condition, it divide, and I will talk about later on what is that exceptional condition. So usually not divide. Permanent tissue usually not divide. If you talk about meristematic tissue, in meristematic tissue, what you are finding? Cells are undifferentiated. Undifferentiated cells are present. In case of permanent tissue, you will find what? Cells are differentiated. Cells are differentiated. What are the meaning of undifferentiated cells? Anybody can tell me what is the meaning of cells are undifferentiated and differentiated? How can you differentiate between these two terms? So no any structural and functional specialization. Present in cell. Then it is called undifferentiated. Means you cannot say cell have a special particular peculiar structure. And you even not say cell are performing a specific function. So these cells don't have a very specific structure to perform a specific function. Getting the things or not? It is called which one? Undifferentiated. Here what you will find? A structural and functional modification are present. A structural and functional modification present. Modification present. So you got the differences between the meristematic tissue or permanent tissue or not. Who can divide, who have the power of division is called meristematic tissue, right? Who don't divide usually are permanent tissue. So these are the two type of tissue based on either they have the capacity of division or not. So if you talk about the meristematic tissue, cells are undifferentiated here, means there is no spatial structure, no spatial functions are there in the case of which one? Meristematic tissue. But as we talk about the permanent tissue, you will find here cells are differentiated, and in that case what happened? A structural and functional modifications are present. A specializations are present. Getting the things? A structure get modified to serve a special function. In the case of which one? Permanent tissue. Is it all right? It's done. Now we are going to deal about meristematic tissue in detail. Have a look. So I am starting here with meristematic tissue. Meristematic tissue. So first of all, we are going to discuss about the character of the meristematic tissue. Character. Few character we are going to discuss. What particular? So these meristematic tissue, first character I am writing, it is also called compact tissue. Compact tissue. Why it is called compact tissue? A reason is who is absent? Usually, mostly intercellular space. Intercellular space absent. Who is absent? Intercellular space absent. Got the idea? And that is the reason it is called compact tissue. Second character, as you know, they can divide. I already wrote earlier also. They can divide. Right. Third character I am writing, protoplasm dense. Protoplasm is dense. Getting the things or not? Fourth character I am writing, nucleus large. Nucleus is large. Got the idea? Fifth character I am writing, cell wall thin and elastic. Cell wall thin and elastic. Sixth character I am writing, only primary cell wall is present. Only primary cell wall is present. These all are the character present in the meristematic tissue. Seventh character I am writing. Seventh character I am writing about the meristematic tissue is vacuole is absent. Vacuole is absent. No vacuole present in the meristematic tissue. Eighth character I am writing, plastid absent. Plastid absent. Ninth character I am writing, proplastid is present. Proplastid is present. Proplastid is precursor of plastid. Proplastid convert into plastid. Getting the things? 10th character I am writing, stored food is absent. Stored food. Food is not stored, or you can say storage material is absent. Stored food is absent. Okay. 11th I am writing ergastric substances absent. Ergastric substances absent. Ergastric substances absent. Right. So these are the some of the characteristic feature we find in which tissue? Meristematic tissue. What I wrote? They have capacity of division. And in beginning I wrote what basically it is called compact tissue. Why it is compact tissue? Because usually intercellular space is absent. They can divide. Protoplasm is dense, nucleus is large, metabolism is high. You can say these two are helping in high metabolism. High metabolism is there because cell are continuously dividing. Cell wall thin and elastic. Only primary cell wall present, secondary cell wall absent. Right, vacuole is absent, plastid is absent, proplastid is present, stored food is absent, ergastric substances is absent. If you want to write some more character, you can write another character like what? High number of plasmodesmatal connection. High number of plasmodesmatal connection. High number of plasmodesmatal connections are present. So these are the, getting the things or not? These are the, getting what? Some of the character associated with the meristematic tissue, right? So now we are going to deal about the type of meristematic tissue, further classification of the meristematic tissue. Is it all right? So further we are going to classify the meristematic tissue. Have a look. So, meristematic tissue. We are classifying it based on different criteria, and here we will use only two different criteria to classify. So, first criteria I am just checking is based on origin. One classification we will deal about what? Classification of meristematic tissue based on origin, and second we will use the criteria based on position in plant body. Position in plant body. Where it is present in the plant body. So we will take these two criteria to classify the meristem. So based on origin means who came first, who came later. We will deal here three type of meristem. NCERT wrote two type. Which one not written in NCERT? Promeristem. Promeristem, primary meristem, and secondary meristem. Secondary meristem. NCERT wrote only about which one? Primary and secondary meristem. NCERT not wrote about which one? Promeristem. Getting the thing. So these are the classification of meristem based on the origin. Right? Later on, I am just writing classification of the meristem based on which one? Position in the plant body. So based on position in the plant body, meristem is what basically? It is also of three type: apical meristem. Second one is intercalary meristem. Intercalary meristem. And the third one is lateral meristem. Third one is lateral meristem. So these are the two criteria of meristems we have taken to classify the meristem based on origin: promeristem, primary meristem, secondary meristem; based on position in plant body, apical meristem, intercalary meristem, and lateral meristem. So you just keep in your mind one thing. Apical meristem, I am writing it is of how many type? 2 type. RAM, or first better to write SAM, and then it is RAM. SAM and RAM. SAM stand for shoot apical meristem and RAM stand for root apical meristem. And if you talk about, so it is present at shoot apex. If you talk about shoot apical meristem, present at which one? Shoot apex. And if you talk about RAM, present at which one? Root apex. Is it clear? Right. If you talk about intercalary meristem, it is present between permanent tissue. It is present between permanent tissue. Intercalary meristem. And if we talk about lateral meristem, and it is also called cylindrical meristem. Cylindrical meristem. It is also called which meristem? Cylindrical meristem. Another name of the lateral meristem is cylindrical meristem. Getting the idea? So first let me tell you about this. Then I will say about the origin in detail. Have a look. So let me draw a diagram to handle this. Which one? Based on the position in the plant body. Based on the position in the plant body, look at the meristem here. Have a look. I am drawing a diagram. See. So I am just changing the color to denominate the meristem. Here it is meristem. These are the meristematic region. Then further, we are just saying here is the meristematic region. Here is the meristematic region. Okay. And you can say about here is the meristematic region. And this one is the meristematic region. Meristematic region. Meristematic region. These are, what are in the blue color are the meristematic region. Got the idea? Is it clear? So if you talk about, this is apical meristem. It is SAM, shoot apical meristem. It is SAM, shoot apical meristem. Right? And here it is what basically? Node. This area is node. This area is node. And here it is what? Axillary bud. Axillary bud. In these axillary bud also meristem is there. It is which one? SAM. So actually if you find axillary bud is formed by left out part of SAM, shoot apical meristem. And here you can say which one is there. It is what basically? Base of internode. Base of internode. So at the base of internode, who is there? Intercalary meristem. Intercalary meristem. If anybody going to ask, it is present at base of which one? Internode. So you can say these intercalary meristem, I wrote na, it is present between permanent tissue. Here permanent tissue, here permanent tissue, it is present between permanent tissue, and this particular meristem is called which one? Lateral meristem. Lateral meristem. So you got the position, of the, so if you talk about lateral meristem, it is mostly secondary. NCERT wrote directly secondary, it is not correct to write. It is mostly secondary. It is mostly secondary meristem. And if you talk about SAM, it is a primary meristem. Both, here I am writing, both RAM and SAM are primary meristem. Primary meristem. If you talk about intercalary meristem, they are also primary meristem. It is also primary meristem based on origin. If you talk about lateral meristem or cylindrical meristem, it is mostly secondary meristem. So you got the idea about, if you talk about, you got the idea about the position of the meristem based on this diagram. First you tell me, you got the idea about the position of the meristem? Yeah. Position of the meristem you got, who are present on root apex, shoot apex, suppose that this one, root apex, suppose that this one, it is apical meristem, it is SAM and it is RAM. You are getting the idea? Is it clear? So suppose that between two node, who is there? Internode is there. So internode is this, suppose that node and internode, suppose that you are saying here internode. Between two node, it is internode. So if you talk about at the base of internode, who is present? Intercalary meristem is present. And lateral position. In the lateral position, who is there? Who is there? Who is there? Lateral meristem is there. And these are mostly secondary meristem. So you keep one thing in your mind. You keep one thing in your mind. I am writing it here. Both apical and intercalary meristem is responsible for primary growth in plant. Primary growth in plant. Who is responsible for primary growth? Apical and intercalary meristem. An important thing is what? Lateral meristem. Lateral meristem is responsible for secondary growth. Secondary growth in plant. You got the idea? So who is responsible for primary growth? Who is responsible for secondary growth? You got the idea? Apical and intercalary meristem cause primary growth of the plant, and lateral meristems is responsible for secondary growth of the plant. Is it clear? So you got the meristem based on the position in the plant body, apical, intercalary, lateral. Apical is a type of which kind of meristem based on origin? Primary. Intercalary is a which kind of meristem? Primary. Right? And if you talk about lateral meristem, is what basically? Mostly secondary meristem. Mostly secondary meristem. Is it clear in the mind? So this is about the meristem classification based on what is the auxiliary word? It is present, I told in the morphology also, right? I told in morphology, na, auxiliary word. It present in the axil. angle between stem or branches and leaf. And these auxiliary word is what basically? These auxiliary word is left out part of which one? Shoot apical meristem. And there I also told about the function of auxiliary word. In morphology also. What function I told for the auxiliary word? These auxiliary word responsible for formation of new branches and, or better to write, or flower. These auxiliary word give rise to new branches or what basically? Flower. Is it all right? Now we are going to deal about the classification of meristem. It is based on the position, it is over. Now we are going to deal about classification of meristem based on what basically? Origin. Who originate first, who originate later on? Getting the things or not? Isn't it? So have a look now. So we are going to deal the classification based on origin. Give your attention. So sequence you keep in mind. I am just telling a sequence you keep in mind. And here student confuse also. So just be with me, you will not confuse. So first who came? Promeristem. Promeristem give rise to which meristem? Primary meristem. Even NCERT not wrote about which meristem? Promeristem. It give rise to primary meristem. Now primary meristem give rise to primary permanent tissue. Primary permanent tissue is formed by which one? Primary meristem. And primary permanent tissue may convert into secondary meristem. Secondary meristem. These are the sequence of origin. Don't confuse. And these secondary meristem, I am writing down, space is not there to visualize all. It is forming which one? Secondary permanent tissue. Secondary permanent tissue. You got the idea? So these are the sequence of origin. Primary meristem formed from promeristem. Examiner asks such kind of question. Primary meristem give rise to, not secondary meristem. Primary meristem give rise to which one? Primary permanent tissue. Primary permanent tissue, when got the capacity of division, it converted into secondary meristem, right? And when secondary meristem lose the capacity of division once again, it is forming which one? It is forming which one? Tell me. Secondary permanent tissue. Is it clear in the mind? So who is originating from whom? You got the idea? Let me tell me about the example. Example of promeristem is embryo. Embryonic meristem. Embryo, every cell can divide, na? In the beginning. So embryo is the example of promeristem. It is not written in NCERT. NCERT wrote about which one? Primary meristem. NCERT wrote about which one? Primary meristem. So what are the example of primary meristem? I am writing. And it is very important. You will got a lot of bits on it. So be with me and try to understand it. So primary meristem, I am writing the example. First example, I am writing RAM, root apical meristem. Second example, I am writing SAM, shoot apical meristem. Third example, I am writing intercalary meristem. Intercalary meristem. Fourth example, I am writing about the primary meristem is which one? Marginal meristem. Marginal meristem. And fifth example I am writing about the primary meristem is intrafascicular cambium. Intrafascicular cambium. Okay, so intrafascicular cambium. So if you talk about these two, especially, getting the things or not, these two especially are which kind of meristem? Lateral meristem. These are primary lateral meristem. Which kind of meristem? Lateral meristem. Intrafascicular cambium have another name also. It is called fascicular, vascular cambium. And where this cambium is present? These vesicular cambium present. Here you look. Here it is xylem. Here it is phloem. In between xylem and phloem in a vascular bundle, who is present? Intrafascicular cambium. Intrafascicular cambium is present. So what is intrafascicular cambium? Another name of fascicular vascular cambium. You got the idea? Between xylem and phloem of a vascular bundle. Where it is present? Between xylem and phloem of a vascular bundle. You got the idea? Is it clear? It is intrafascicular cambium. So who are the example of primary meristem? You got the idea? Understand the idea? Is it clear in the mind? Okay. Now you can say, sir, you told about this intrafascicular cambium. Say something about marginal meristem. I am telling you with a diagram about marginal meristem. Don't worry. So here I am drawing a leaf. Here I am drawing a leaf. Okay. And these are margin of the leaf. So at the margin of the leaf, these are the meristematic region. So when plant leaf grow in size, lamina expand, na? Lamina size increase or not? Tell me. Yes. So it not increase due to what is the position of this yellow color? It is lateral in position or not? So it is which one? Marginal meristem. And these are a which meristem? Primary meristem. In leaf, secondary growth not occur. So leaf lamina increase in the size due to activity of which meristem? These marginal meristem. It is which one? It is a kind of lateral meristem. It is lateral in position. It is laterally located. If I ask you, what are the central position or lateral position? Lateral position, lateral meristem. And lateral primary meristem. This marginal meristem is a which kind of meristem? Primary meristem. You got the idea? Understand the idea or not? So what are the two lateral meristem who are primary in origin? You got the idea? What are the two lateral meristem who are primary in origin? You got the idea? What are the name? Marginal meristem and what basically? Intrafascicular cambium. One is interfascicular cambium. Don't confuse with that. Getting the things? That is a secondary meristem. Now I am going to tell you about primary permanent tissue. Primary permanent tissue. One thing I am fixing in this class only. In entire book, which is primary, which is secondary tissue, you just keep the things in your mind. You will never confuse if you just got the idea. Now this primary meristem, by the process of differentiation, converted into primary permanent tissue. By the process of what? Differentiation converted into which tissue? primary permanent tissue. Is it clear? Right? So if we talk about these primary permanent tissue, it is of two type. It is of two type. Okay, one is what basically simple permanent tissue, another is complex permanent tissue. Complex permanent tissue. Simple permanent tissue is of how many type? Three type. Parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. So these all three are which kind of meristem tissue? Parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma is a which kind of tissue? Primary permanent tissue, and which type? Simple type or complex type? Simple type. Which type? Simple type. Now complex permanent tissue is further of two type. Complex permanent tissue is further of two type. One is which one? Primary xylem, and another is which one? Primary phloem. Primary xylem and primary phloem. In short, I wrote X and P. So in primary xylem, what are the component is there? Trachea, vessels. I will teach it later. Getting the things or not? Xylem parenchyma and xylem fiber. Getting the things or not? And here primary phloem, who is there? Sieve tube, companion cell, phloem parenchyma, and phloem fiber. Got the idea? So these are which one? Complex primary permanent tissue. Primary xylem and primary phloem. Getting the idea? These are the complex permanent tissue, right? And primary permanent tissue. Now these primary permanent tissue, by the process of de-differentiation. Which process? De-differentiation. By the process of de-differentiation. De-differentiation converted into which meristem? Secondary meristem. Primary permanent tissue by the process of de-differentiation converted into secondary meristem. I am writing some of the example of secondary meristem here. So what are the example of secondary meristem? Secondary meristem example I am writing. Secondary meristem example I am writing. So example of the secondary meristem is, first example I am writing, interfascicular cambium. Don't confuse. Intrafascicular cambium is primary meristem. Interfascicular cambium is secondary meristem. So second example I am writing, interfascicular cambium in which one? Dicot stem. Where it is present? In dicot stem. It is a secondary meristem, first example. Second example of the secondary meristem is vascular cambium ring in dicot root. Is totally secondary meristem. Third example I am writing for what? Secondary meristem is, third example for secondary meristem I am writing is what basically? Cork cambium. Cork cambium. Getting the idea? So what are the example of the secondary meristem? Interfascicular cambium in dicot stem, vascular cambium ring in dicot root, and another example is which one? Cork cambium. Cork cambium. These are the example of which one? Secondary meristem. Means they arise from which one? Which tissue? Secondary meristem arise from which tissue? Hurry up, tell me. Secondary meristem arise from which tissue? Primary permanent tissue. Primary permanent tissue. Got the idea? And whenever these stop dividing, means when secondary meristem, these secondary meristem undergoes in which process? Redifferentiation. Which differentiation? Redifferentiation. Redifferentiation. When they undergoes in which process? Redifferentiation. They are going to form which one? Secondary permanent tissue. Secondary permanent tissue. And what is the example of secondary permanent tissue? How they are forming, we will deal later. Meanwhile, here we want to fix it. In entire plant, which part is which type of tissue? So example of secondary permanent tissue is secondary xylem, secondary phloem, cork, secondary cortex, secondary cortex. These are what basically redifferentiated structure. Secondary xylem, secondary phloem, cork and secondary cortex. These are the which one? Example of secondary permanent tissue. So now student, tell me, you got a basic idea about which particular part in the plant have which type of tissue? Is it clear? Is it all right? Is it done? So from here, questions always going to ask an exam. And if you have any doubt at any juncture, you can say to me. Now I am going to talk about apical meristem, intercalary meristem, lateral meristem, one by one. Is it all right? It's over? It's done? Yes, G. Now we are moving ahead. Give your attention. Right? Zoom out the slide. Okay. It is a very big slide now. So it is difficult to fix many things here. Yeah. Hanji. Okay. Once again, have a look here. Everything is there now. So once again, because this topic require 2-3 minutes, 4 minutes of revision. Is it right? So I'm just telling you, have a look. Have a look. So one student is writing bark is a secondary meristem. We can't say exactly. Bark as a secondary stem, except all the part of bark is not a secondary meristem, right? I will say later about the bark. Have a look here. So first, on the basis of origin, in embryonal stage, which one is present? Embryonic meristem is present. And these embryonic stage meristem have a name that is called promeristem. Further, promeristem give rise to which one? Primary meristem. There is no name of the process by which process it gives. Getting the things or not, like differentiation, de-differentiation, redifferentiation, nothing is there. It embryo grow, a new plant form. When a new plant is forming, see now, embryo is growing. I am just drawing a diagram here also. This is the what basically embryo. Now embryo is forming a plant. It is forming a plant. So they are dividing continuously, dividing and forming a plant. This is embryo and this is the plant. Sorry, embryo and this is the newly formed plant, new plant. They divide, every cell was meristematic, they divide. Now what happened to these new plants? These new plant grow in length. These new plant grow in length. It is called primary growth. Are you getting the idea? For primary growth. Primary growth caused by which meristem? Primary meristem. When a new plant growing in size, it is called primary growth. And primary growth caused by the activity of which one? Primary meristem. Now what happened? These new plant become like this after some time. After some time, these new plant become like this. Okay, ji. It become like this. It happen or not happen? Thickness, circumference, diameter of the stem here you are finding or root is finding increasing, it is called secondary growth. And these secondary growth occur due to activity of which one? Lateral meristem. So you got a picture or not? This is converting into this. Diameter, circumference of a plant is increasing. That is called secondary growth, and secondary growth is caused by the activity of lateral meristem. Getting the things or not? Is it clear? So lateral meristem, except whom? Marginal meristem. Lateral meristem except marginal meristem. Marginal meristem is a lateral meristem, but it not cause secondary growth. Is it? Intrafascicular cambium is a primary meristem, lateral meristem, and they cause secondary growth. Only primary meristem who cause secondary growth is what? So you can write it also. Intrafascicular cambium is only primary meristem participate in secondary growth. Participate in secondary growth. You also note it. It is a very important line. So how from embryo new plant is forming, how new plant growing in length, and how these after growing in length it is increasing in its diameter. You got the idea? Is it clear? It is all right. It's done. So once again I am coming on our agenda. So primary meristem undergoes in differentiation and form primary permanent tissue. Primary permanent tissue undergoes in de-differentiation and forming secondary meristem. So if someone going to ask secondary meristem arise from whom? So don't write primary meristem, write primary permanent tissue. And when secondary meristem undergo in re-differentiation, it is forming which one? Secondary permanent tissue. Now everywhere I wrote example. I wrote example of primary meristem, RAM, SAM, intercalary meristem, marginal meristem, and which one? Intrafascicular cambium. Primary permanent tissue example I wrote, simple complex sample, which one? Parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma, complex, primary xylem, primary phloem. Right? All the part of primary xylem and primary phloem. Later on, when it undergoes in de-differentiation, secondary meristem form. Example of secondary meristem I wrote here. What are the example I have written? Interfascicular cambium in dicot stem, vascular cambium ring in dicot root, and cork cambium. Getting the idea? When they go for re-differentiation, secondary permanent tissue form. Example is secondary xylem, secondary phloem, cork, and secondary cortex. Is it all right? It's done. It's over. Now from embryo, new plant, primary growth, secondary growth. Is it over? Can we move ahead? Yes. So now we are going to talk about apical meristem. Apical meristem. Have a look here. Here it is protoderm. Here it is cortex. And here it is which one? Central cylinder. Central cylinder. Getting the idea? And if we just go for here it is axillary bud. Here it is which one? SAM. And if you talk about these area, basically, it is leaf primordia, getting the things. So this is RAM and this is SAM, shoot apical meristem. Leaf primordia differentiated into leaf or formed leaf, form leaf. These are shoot apical meristem. These are axillary bud, left out part of SAM. Left out part of SAM. Getting the things or not? What diagram shown in the NCERT like that is what basically? Vascular strand. So these are about the location of the RAM. These are about the location of the SAM. Now we are going to tell you certain theory. Getting the things? Right? Certain theory. So Haver-Landit according to Haver-Landit, apical meristem is differentiated into 3 layers. How many layers? 3 layers. Haver-Landit told apical meristem is differentiated into 3 layers. One layer is which one? Protoderm. Another layer is which one? Ground meristem. And another layer is which one? Procambium. So protoderm give rise to epidermal tissue system. Epidermal tissue system. Haver-Landit, the name of scientist, told कि apical meristem differentiated into 3 layers, protoderm which form epidermal tissue system, ground meristem, it is forming which one? Ground tissue system, and procambium form vascular tissue system. Vascular tissue system in plant. Vascular tissue system in plant. So these 3 zones, 3 layers of the which one? apical meristem forming three different type of tissue system. Protoderm forming epidermal tissue system, ground meristem forming ground tissue system, procambium forming vascular tissue system. Is it? Later on, I am telling, have a look here. Later I am telling certain theories associated with apical meristem. 1-2 minutes I will take in that, then I will come on the NCERT line. Don't worry. So certain theory, and there is a reason to say that. So if you talk about for root apical meristem, for RAM, the most important theory, most accepted theory is histogen theory. Histogen theory given by Hanstin. So what Hanstin told, in root apical meristem, 3 histogen are there. 3 histogen is there. Right? How many histogen is there? 3 histogen is there. Outermost histogen is which one? Outermost histogen, second layer of the histogen, and innermost the histogen. Getting the things or not? So 3 histogen is there. Outermost histogen, then second histogen, then it is third histogen. And he told in case of monocot, so 3 histogen in dicot. 3 histogen in dicot, and he told one more histogen, 4 histogen in monocot. So what are the name of the third histogen in dicot? Dermatogen. Dermatogen. Second histogen is which one? Peribulum. Peribulum. Third histogen is plerome. Plerome. So dermatogen, he told, form epidermal tissue. It is different scientists view epidermal tissue. According to Haverland, epidermal tissue formed by protoderm, he told by dermatogen. And peribulum form which one? Cortex. And plerome forming which one? Stele, stele. So these are the histogen theory given by Hanstin, and he told in root a 4th histogen is there. That is called calyptrogen. That is called which one? Calyptrogen. Calyptrogen is the 4th histogen in monocot. Histogen in monocot. Monocot. And these calyptrogen are responsible for root cap formation. Root cap formation. Root cap formation. And in between dermatogen and calyptrogen, who is present? Some inactive cells are there. That is called quiescent center. Quiescent center, and these quiescent center form initial of calyptrogen. Initial of calyptrogen. So these are in some theory I told. So this theory is valid for which one? This theory valid for which one? This theory valid for which one? Root apical meristem. And this theory, what told by the Hanstin, कि भैया root apical meristem have 3 layers in dicot and 4 layers in monocot. So in dicot, the outermost layer is dermatogen, it form epidermal tissue, then second layer is peribulum, it form cortex, the innermost layer is pleroma, and it form stele. And in monocot, one more histogen is there, that is called calyptrogen, and these are forming which one? Root cap. In between dermatogen and which one? Calyptrogen, quiescent center are present. They are inactive or less active cell, and they are acting as a reserve of which one? Initial of the calyptrogen. So examiner may ask, in monocot root cap is formed by calyptrogen, and in dicot it is formed by which one? Dermatogen. Are you getting the idea? Understanding the idea? Is it clear? Is it all right? Okay, so these are the theory not mentioned in NCERT. That is the reason I just dealt it very faster. Otherwise slow, it take entire class. I just sum up in 10 minutes. You just got a basic idea. If any term come here related to that, you are just managed to do it. Getting the thing, the purpose is that certain time these theories are mentioned. Able to understand or not? Another theory I am telling, for SAM, shoot apical meristem, the most accepted theory is tunica carpus theory. Carpus theory. And this tunica carpus theory given by Scamitid. Getting the things. So he told what they are there. He told for shoot apical meristem. So this is tunica and this is carpus. Tunica and this is carpus. Two zones are present in the, they told, bhaiya, in case of which one? Shoot apical meristem. 3 zones are not there, 3 layers are not there, only 2 layers are there. So outer layer is called tunica, inner layer is called carpus. Tunica form epidermal tissue. Epidermal tissue, and carpus form remaining tissue. So this is tunica carpus theory. Much more things are there here, but I am not going to tell. If tunica is more than one layer, outer layer will form epidermis, remaining layer will help the carpus to form the another tissue. Are you getting the idea or not? So I told about the views of the some scientists. Just give me 1 more minute, so I will deal about which one? Apical, intercalary, lateral once again. Got the idea? So have a look. What Haberlandit told? Haberlandit told by in apical meristem, how many zones are there? 3. How many zones are there? 3. What the name? Protoderm, procambium and cortex. Ground meristem. Protoderm forming epidermis, procambium forming vascular tissue, ground meristem forming remaining. According to Hanstein, what he told? 3 layer is there. In which one? Root apical meristem. Dermatogen, peribulum, pleroma. Dermatogen give rise to which one? In dicot, of course. Epidermis. Peribulum give rise to cortex. Pleroma give rise to stele. And he told in monocot, why? How many are there? 4 zones are there. 4 layer are there. 1 more layer is there. And that is outermost. And that is called which one? Calyptrogen. Many time you find any question, na? Root cap in monocot arise from. And questions are there. Calyptrogen. And certain time you also heard like, na? Quiescent center. Quiescent centers are inactive cells present between dermatogen and calyptrogen. And these quiescent center are responsible for formation of which one? Initial of what? Initial of what? Initial of, tell me, calyptrogens. So new root cap will form. You are getting the idea. So that is the reason I just given you the briefing of that. Now apical meristem, intercalary meristem, lateral meristem. Have a look. Apical meristem. Apical meristem responsible for primary growth and increase in length of plant. Length of plant. I told many things about apical meristem. Okay, now we are coming about which one? Intercalary meristem. Intercalary meristem. If you talk about this intercalary meristem, it is responsible for primary growth and also increase the length of plant. Okay, what NCERT wrote? In grasses, these line paper set are asked. In grasses, after grazing, length increase due to activity of which meristem? Intercalary meristem. Regrowth occur. So you just have a look. I am drawing a diagram. It is a apical meristem. And it is supposed that here intercalary meristem. Now a goat is coming and going to do what basically? Going to graze that much part. Oh, grazing occur up that much part. Then further you find grass is growing in height. So these growth in the height of the grasses, regrowth in the height of the grasses once again occur due to activity of which one? Intercalary meristem. That line written in NCERT or not? So intercalary meristem, where it is present? Tell me. At the base of, example, where it is present? At the base of internode or also present at the base of leaf, at the base of petiole. Getting the thing? These intermediate stem present, not example location. Location is what? At the base of internode, at the base of petiole. So you got the idea. Both intercalary meristem and apical meristem are responsible to which one? Increase in length. It is present between permanent tissue. Where in between permanent tissue? I have given the location. It is present between permanent tissue, I wrote in beginning, but where? At the base of internode, at the base of petiole. Now lateral meristem. Lateral meristem. It become a long topic because of what? These extra theory I told you. I just want to say, but in lecture time was not allowed for that because it is not in NCERT. But I just want to say in faster way. You just got the idea about quiescent center, a brief idea about 4 histogen in monocot, 3 histogen in dicot, getting the idea. And that is the reason just somehow in it occur a mess in between, right? You got the idea? Fast. Haberlanded views, Hanstein views, right? Scamdit views, right? So lateral meristem. So lateral meristem is either primary or secondary. Primary lateral meristem, primary tissue, getting the things or not? Primary meristem who act as a lateral meristem and also secondary meristem act as a lateral meristem. So primary meristem, tell me the example. I told you marginal, and second one is which one? Intrafascicular. I already told, I am revising it. Secondary meristem act as a lateral meristem is interfascicular. Another one is which one? Vascular cambium, in dicot, root, and third one is cork cambium. These all are the secondary lateral meristem, and these are the primary lateral meristem. Okay, lateral meristems are responsible for what? Responsible for increase increase in girth or thickness of plant. Means secondary growth. Exception is what? Marginal. It is not responsible for which one? Increase in girth or thickness. It is responsible for increase in surface area of leaf. Leaf become this to this. It is due to which activity? Marginal meristem activity. So it is a primary growth only. It is a primary growth only. It is not a which growth? Secondary growth. You got the idea? Understand the idea? Is it clear in the mind? So this is about the meristem. Theory you got, tell me honestly. Honestly tell me theory you got somehow. Handstand view you got. Apical meristem have how many layers? 3 layers. What the name? Protoderm, ground meristem and procambium. Right? Procambium vascular tissue, protoderm epidermis and ground meristem ground tissue. Handstand told root have how many layers? 3 layers. I am just giving you the which one? Slide Y. I am just giving you the QR code. Getting the idea? So QR code you take as na. So every slide, everything will come in your notebook. So I was saying about handstand view. What handstand view was there? 3 layers. Which one? Dermatogen, peribulum, plerome. Dermatogen give rise to epidermis, peribulum, cortex, plerome, stele. And in which one? Monocot, one more layer is there. That is calyptrogen, which give rise to which one? Root cap. In between dermatogen and calyptrogen, who is present? Quiescent center are there. That are the inactive or less active cell. Okay? And these are responsible for formation of initial of calyptrogen. Right? Tunica carpus theory is applicable for which one? SAM. And he told why shoot apical meristem don't have 3 layers. How this theory is applicable? They told only 2 layers is there. So outer layer is tunica, another layer is carpus. Tunica give epidermis, carpus give rest of. And that theory is given by which one? Scamdid. Got the idea? So these are the views of the different scientists, how the apical meristem forming the different type of tissue system. A brief idea came, na? I just make a mess there because of time was less. And I just want to say this extra point. I hope you got it. Okay, it's all right. It's done. Because many times questions came, na? Calyptrogen, dermatogen, and in option it will came. If I not told, you get confused to handle that kind of question. Many times in option that came. That is the reason I just put that extra effort to handle it. Okay, Ji, it's all right. Thank you very much. Okay, bye-bye. Have a good day to all of you.